So, thank you very much all for coming this evening, and thank you very much for having us. Obviously, my name is Tristan, and I run a company called ZebraInvest, and this is Iris.
I'm Iris, and I got a company with my husband called A-Chord Property.
So, this time last year, when Boris was off having biscuits, we were in the park going around doing property. So that's us in Norwich, on a little bit of day out. So, to start off, we've got a little bit about me and about what I've done in the last couple of years. But to give you an idea, I've been investing in property, whether it's for myself or for other people, for about the last 10 years. And that's been anything from working for student landlords to freehold ground rent investors. So in doing that, I've also built up a rent-to-rent portfolio for someone else in London, from 6 houses to 25 in 12 months. And then since 2013-ish, but anyway, I've got a couple of student houses down south. And then I first went to a PIN meeting in Clapham in 2019, and I sat there and I already bought a book, bought Property Magic. I thought, there's something to this. Sat down in the room, sat down the next person, and then he sort of said, oh, I'm looking at this doing property, I've got money. And I said, ooh, how do I get that? So, and it's gone down the same route ever since. So at the end of 2019, I moved to my then girlfriend at the time, and thought, you know what, let's go build a portfolio for myself and do it myself. So that's where I've got the van, covered in zebra print, everything is zebra, but it sounds like a sore thumb. So that's what I've got. So here we go.
So I'm Iris Korfka. Oh, no, it's not working.
Well, the right one.
The right one, there we go. You can tell it's my first time actually doing this. Me and my husband, we're professional singers, so totally the other side of property really. We've got some other BBC proms last September, and we love the job, we don't want to give that up. And we were introduced by PIN by a colleague of ours after my parents, who've got some property in Holland, said, look, you need to go and educate yourself so that, you know, once we're no longer there, one of you children know what we're doing and what we're trying to do and build on the legacy. So I heard her out. She took me to Wimbledon, and I think that was the first one in 2015. So I've taken my time. So that's Parents and Property indeed. So finally, in 2017, we took the plunge after having done the accelerator in 3 days. We took the plunge to actually commit to this. We didn't start until 2019 because we also, shortly after that, found out that I was pregnant and I wanted to concentrate on that. During our year in the mastermind, we really, every month there is like a focus on a strategy, and then you've got that whole month to, and kind of, the danger is that you've got the, ooh, that's interesting. So they talk about focus, but at the same time, I just wanted to know about the strategies there before plunging into, and try what fit us as well. What was true to our values, what fitted our lives, and lots of source searching and etc. So part of that was finding out where our finance, what the situation of our finances was, and we thought that the only way to get our hands on equity in our house was by renting it out. We went down the route of going to create an HMO, and we were very close until we spoke to 5 mortgage brokers, who then said, why are you doing this? We said, what, to release equity out of our house? And he said, have you heard of second charge bridging? And we're like, no. So that's where there is bridging finance, but the deposit is against the overvalue of the equity in your house. So you don't have to sell it, you don't have to be, so it's a temporary bridging extra lending. So we had a huge amount of equity, poor musicians, we couldn't get any more out, especially not during lockdown where we were on SEISS, so that was massive for any other kind of mortgages or extending on our equity. But the importance of that bridging is that you've got track record and experience, and we have the education, and we have the network, but not the experience. So we started to look for somebody with experience and with the right deals, because there was another important part of the bridging finance is that the NGV has to be at least 23 or 25%, upping it to be allowed to even be considered for this type of lending, because it's lending against the project. So we went for a search for a JV partner.
And I found a JV partner.
We found it.
And where did I find you?
Yeah, we found. So I was actually putting my daughter to bed whilst having my earset still on, and I thought like, and
So it's
you
funny,
kind of
Chris and I were
hovered.
chatting away on PIM at the end of the meeting online last year, after Sebastian had done his, well, I'm trying to find a bit.
because it
Sebastian
was
had done his presentation.
Yeah, it was clear.
And then we then got chatting away, and I was like, oh, maybe there's something we could do. So, so there's a JV, and as I just said, we met online, and we had our lovely little playground meeting, and we thought, why not JV together? And that's obviously, as you've just said, it's both, finding sets of skills that each other can bring to the table, or
Leveraging
parts, the missing parts of the puzzle as well. So this is actually the first project we picked up. We did a retirement flat in the city centre, and we actually all went in, pitched in, went down to the market, bought pizzas. You guys were sleeping there as we were ripping it apart to be able to get it out, because we thought if we get the place ripped out,
saves us another week.
and it was just
The builder was ill, wasn't he, the first one? So yeah.
So anyway,
And the due diligence is interesting that you do due diligence on a project, but you also do due diligence on each other when you are putting all your money down and all your trust into somebody. And there were a few elements, a few aspects of why to go with Tristan. When we then had a meeting after that initial meeting, we were talking about leasing, weren't we? And you were so knowledgeable trying to explain how the lease calculations work. And I got a real insight, and you were really trying to teach me, and how you were sharing knowledge, and how knowledgeable you were about that, and how quick you were with all the technology, and that also went down into how well you were set up with your business plans. That element was very important for us. That why do you need us? Why do you need our money? Why don't you just go out on your own? But your aim was 10 properties in a year, and then you need leverage from other people. So yeah, and the zebra print. I mean, he's not going anywhere, is he? He can't hide anymore.
So we did this retirement flat as a flip, as a JV, and the idea was that we're going to do it, buy it, and then do it 50-50. This isn't the deal that we're presenting. We're actually going to be showing you Canal and Road, but
that was sold 20k above our.
Yeah, so we thought we were going to sell it for 180, and we got it sold for 200. And that was just so we sold it for 200
in a matter of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, so we did a little bit better than we thought we would. So some of these are a bit of in funding or challenges and stuff that both of us have. So for me, it's working with investors and other people who are willing to work for me. I like to work for me, and so that's one thing. Is just always trying to find people who make a good fit, because there's no point working with everyone because you don't like everyone. You don't like people. Don't bother doing business with them, because it's going to be more hassle than it's worth. So oddly, I seem to like Iris, but there you go. And so joint ventures have worked quite well for me, and I think it just means that everyone's on the same page and know what's going where. And with it, whenever I do it with a WhatsApp group, people can do it however you like. I just send photos, what's going on, how I'm getting on, what's happening, and it means that everyone's getting an idea of what's going well. And also, it's the flip side, is doing your due diligence on who you're working with, because it works both ways. I need to make sure that the person that I'm dealing with actually understands what they're doing. They've got credibility behind them, and when I turn around and say to them, look, I've got this great idea, and it's so can we just learn it first? But there's a bit of background between it from there.
I think if a year ago, if you presented the deal that we're doing now, I would have not been able to get my head around it, not thinking that it was too good to be true anyway. But yeah.
So the next bit is funding challenges is twofold. And this one is both for me and for Iris, but
Yes.
finding the right broker full stop. If you've got someone who understands what you want to do, where you want to get to, then they've got a good idea of how you can get there. They can show you from start to finish what to do, and that's obviously, as you just said.
That was also a part of the due diligence that we ended up talking to the mortgage broker who knows you, because knowing your track record and having trust in you, the knowledge, is also vital for a mortgage broker to be able to, and that gave us a lot of trust as well.
Next one, these are yours ones.
Okay, yeah, definitely persistent and focus. I mean, it's the just not giving up. There were moments where we were really like swimming in like, what are we going to do? We tried so many different strategies, like rent to rent, and you see all the other masterminders just really flying, and everybody has a different background there, and but to see other people achieving those things makes you believe that you can as well, and we also just needed to find what fitted us, and to also maybe perhaps swallow our pride a bit, because we were thinking, oh, we can do this ourselves, and you know, but if you can jump further working with other people than you do yourself. Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to, and yeah, the persistence of trying to
Actually build the properties blessing.
yeah. So we've now finally got our first properties, especially since yesterday.
So, investment strategy, this kind of brings on to, and I realise we need to probably get a little bit quicker, but I always target problem properties, or try and find anything where there's a problem or something that you need to fix, because at that point, that's where you can add value to a deal. And whether it's looking at something, or you'll see in this one where we had a proper problem with it, but if you can find a problem that you can fix, or you've got a good solicitor, or you've got a good broker, or you've got an idea how you fix it or get around it, then that's where you're going to be able to target it. And this property on the right hand side, which Sebastian came around, had movement on the property. But when we actually looked at it and worked it out with a structural engineer, the problem with the property was just a guttering went down underground, had been leaking for years, caused the back of the property to move. And he actually said, well, as soon as you fix it, the property's not going anywhere, stitch it. I can bang on and make it sound really easy, but we fixed it. And then obviously if you've got a vendor who's got an issue with the property, then they want to get it sold, they want to get it fixed, and if you've got a solution to it, then that means you can buy it at the right price. And the right price is obviously, which means either you can get as much money back out the deal at the end of it, or, as I tend to do, I've been flipping, you're then going to get the margin you want to achieve with it. So I've done a lot of stuff. I used to do a lot more stuff where I do a lot of stuff direct to vendor. In the last year or so, every single deal I've done in Norwich has been through an agent. But most of it is all using data. So most of it is just going through a website called Property Data. If you want to find out how to use it, I've got a YouTube channel which kind of lines up with ZebraPrint and explains how to do it. So I've done lots of buy to sells. More recently, and this includes this one, been doing title splits, because you buy more property and you're actually only doing one deal, and it's still you're using one solicitor. So on the face of it, there's less hassle. I also got HMOs, student and professional, this is all leading into, and now starting to get commercial conversions. Got planning permission, I got planning permission on one last year, but unfortunately the vendor pulled out. Hey, that brings us on to 72 economic, which we got keys yesterday. So this is, I think it was a really cool deal, because we've got two for the price of one. One quite.
One's split, yeah.
And these are right in the Golden Triangle, which is slap bang in the city, slap bang in the city centre. Really nice area. But it looks beautiful. But the main bit with the listing was when it came up, you only ever saw this. And if you only ever flick through Rightmove and you don't dig, you only see one image, and you see one house like that in Golden Triangle for 600 grand. You're not going to touch it with a barge pole. As soon as you open it, you see there's two. So, problem and the solution. So this is an application that we've got in with a a local architect, or no, not a local one, he's in Southampton. He's quite a good friend of mine. And the problem with it is that the rear property has to be used as an annex to the front one. So that means that only the back property has to be related to the front, or one family unit. This property hadn't been used like that. The guy had actually moved into the rear property, rented out the front one, and because of that, in the last 15 years, the two properties have been used separately. So by getting a lawful development certificate, you can then split the property into two properties and you can lift the value. There you go. And the vendor had already split the title for us, but hadn't got all the utilities in there. So we got all the evidence, found all the proof to be able to demonstrate it, submitted the application, which admittedly, if you can read it, says awaiting decision, but we've only got, I think, about 2 weeks left on that to go through. So this is the property. So we've tried to do this to demonstrate what it is and what it will be. So you can see so this is the front of the house. And you can see here, it doesn't look much different at all, right? The only difference is this room here, yeah? So what we need to do, at the back here, there's actually a cupboard built into this bedroom. If you remove that cupboard, move the door down, you can reduce the size of you can move the whole bathroom down by about 200 mil. And in doing that, and then moving the door from the end of the corridor to down here, it then becomes an HMO compliant bedroom. So you then have 4 lettable bedrooms upstairs, one with an ensuite, and then, depending what you like to do, you can then use the sitting room also as another bedroom. So, not much, the front of the property, we haven't actually got to do much to it.
The bathroom upstairs and the kitchen were brand new, weren't they?
Yeah, and there's a little bit down.
Okay,
But that's a bit stainable, we're sorted. There we go. And then this is the rear. And this is an absolute whopper. And this bit is on this one, we aren't building it, but it's 150 metres squared. And this is where, when I saw it, the quick and easy way to do is look at it is how much does a property sell for in the area, what's it worth? And I looked at it and I thought, it's gone a long way. This is going to be worth a lot more than what it's being listed for. So at the back here, you can see, you can split the front up, so then you've got a kitchen, dining, and kind of like a little snug area. And then you can split the back of that into 2 bedrooms, 2 en suites, back to back, and you get 6 bedrooms out of the place. And at 150 square metres, that's bigger than most 5-bedroom family houses that you find on the market. So it's quite easy to add the value. And well, in my head, I walked in and said, walk in the park. That's the idea. So, the deal. Online, this is a 5-bedroom detached house. It's not a 5-bed detached house. 2 houses without planning. And the vendor had already moved away. He didn't live at the property anymore. And so he just wanted to see it gone. The vendor actually already had a buyer. I went in, viewed it, offered on it. And this is again kind of that persistence and follow-up. But I went in, viewed it, made an offer. He said, that's too low. But then 3 months later, the guy didn't have the right broker, didn't understand how to do the deal. Everything all fell out of bed. They called me up again and they said, do you still want the property? I was like, yeah, I'll do the deal. And then they said, how much will you pay? And I said, well, the offer's the same. It hasn't changed because a few months down the line. I said, actually, the stamp duty, whenever we have the stamp duty relief, I'll pay you less if you like. That didn't go down well, but fortunately we could use something called multiple dwellings relief, so the actual SDLT didn't change from what I was planning to pay. So we bought it for 527,000, which for 2 properties of that size in the Golden Triangle, it's a bit of a snip, I think. And then, as we said, you've already got into your home, so there hasn't actually, you haven't had to stump up technically any cash. The deposit. And originally the idea was that we could get at least, if we got 4 bedrooms out the front, and then 6 out the back, then we get at least 450 on 10 rooms, if we do it as a student bed. And if you need a lettings agent, you go to someone in the corner, so then you've got a lettings agent, and everyone that you need is actually around you. So we're actually going to squeeze it up to 11 rooms, which means we'll get a bit more money out of it. So we should hit 4,500 a month on the property, and then allowing for 5% maintenance, 10% for management, we should hit 25 of that, which is 53% on the money left in. And we have to do, not that, I'm not sure if everyone's paid attention to it, but on all the, when you have to do your bridging things, you have to put everything on your own headed paper, so we've got our own logo as well. Anyway, so, goals. I think we blended both of ours into this. So,
Sort of, yeah.
I want to do, this year I want to do 5 commercial conversions, which is going to be a bit of a feat, but we just need to find them. Just need to find them. 5 student and 5 HMOs. I want to do 3 flips.
Perhaps one with us if we
Yeah,
get
I'm sure we will. Yeah, definitely. And I want to get a Lotus because because you've got to have a goal or want something, right? So, but the thing is with the flip, if I do it with a JV partner, for example, on the one that we showed you earlier, Doman Road, I did that with a JV partner, and this isn't a brag, it's achievable. Is we flipped it, and I've taken about just over 30 grand out of that, and that's enough to buy a second-hand Lotus. So all I need is one flip to buy a Lotus. In my head, it's doable. And then,
yeah, we would like to see if we can, with the confidence that we've gained and knowledge and track record, that we can do something closer to home and build on our own portfolio ourselves. Which is my family work-life balance. Got a 4-year-old, so and the singing is obviously extremely important to us, but we want to have more control of what work we say yes to, and perhaps some holidays, which we never have. So yeah, that's a goal to keep growing.
yeah, I think.
And that's
On our final slide.
okay. Yeah.
So that's right, sorry.
Yeah.
I think, that was on the last one there, we had choose a simple.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, so finally, Investor Day. Hey! So as I said, Tristan and Gordon, ZebraInvest, that's my contact details if you'd like to take a photo of them. So, what we're going to do on the 21st, I'll load everything else up, there we go. There we go. So if anyone would like to come along and see some of the projects that I'm working on, and you can also come and see our project at Northern Road, be my guest on the 21st of January. We should be doing it on the 21st of January. You can come along, have a walk around, see a few of the projects that we're working on. It ranges for anything at the moment from grade 2 listed houses where it's splitting it into from 1 property into 2 property, Northern Road, Rumsey Wells, which is finished and sold. So there's a real variety if you want to come have a look and understand what you can do.
And if you want to talk about Mastermind and partnering up, finding a JV partnership,